Hello. Today we're going to be making some Mother's Day bonbons. Um, the last 3 days, I guess, I've been doing these. I think this is the final day, although Mother's Day is a couple weeks away. I do have some chocolate I just pulled from the melanger. I'm just going to let it get the optimal temperature, get it tempered, and then we're going to fill this mold. We are going to fill these molds. I did these yesterday. This is with my signature berry milk chocolate. No, this is just straight berry, no milk chocolate in this one. So I'm gonna warm these up a little bit when we're ready, and I'm just gonna pour. I'm not gonna fill them full. I just want a nice thin-ish, probably that thin chocolate for moms. And then we're gonna do these gifts here. I thought they'd be kind of fun to do. I'm gonna paint that little pink pearly color for the ribbons and the bows, and then if we have any left, we're going to use this mold. So here I'm going to do a raspberry ganache. I still have the ganache left over from the last two batches, the last 2 days, so I'm going to use up what we have left. Not a ton left. I've just got it out to kind of get to room temperature a bit. So we'll start by getting these painted, and then I'm just using a food safe paintbrush. The powders I mixed the copper and a pearl. Oh, I do have them. I'll just show you real quick what I'm using. So this is pearl powder, and then this is the copper. So that's what I'm using. I mixed them together to get a pretty pink one for moms. Some moms probably aren't into that pretty pink, but maybe some are. So just a little bit of powder in there. It doesn't have to be perfect because nobody's perfect. Just kind of gets, I always like to shake out the excess just because you don't really want clumps. Maybe some people do. Just use your imagination. It's just going to give a little bit of character to the chocolate, right? And I like using this mold, but I do find that unless I have time to do this, I won't use it, just because I don't want to just do a typical, which I have done, just a typical chocolate in them. I do think that detail should be accentuated. So like I said, doesn't have to be perfect or really fancy in any way. But it does look quite nice in once you bar it, or once you pop it out of the mold. And one thing I forgot when I did my chocolate is I forgot to put the contour on after. So I'm not sure how shiny that chocolate will be. It should be okay because it was melanging all night. My machine doesn't work proper, so it cuts out and then comes back on. So typically in the morning when I put it on, it'll run for half an hour, shut off, and then if I leave the button on, it'll come back on when it's cooled off, run for about 15 minutes, shut off for like 45, run for 15. So in an hour I'm only getting 15 minutes in the machine. But I have been grinding my sugar into powder using a coffee grinder. And then as well as my milk powder, and then I process all of my cocoa beans. I take all the nibs, so here's some nibs just to show you, cocoa nibs. I put them all through the peanut butter maker so that it breaks them down, and you don't want any of these bits here. Shell. Put them through the cocoa or the peanut butter maker, and then it comes out as cocoa liqueur. No liquor in it, no alcohol in it, too bad, but just grinds that up into a paste. From there, I put it in the melanger. So the melanger doesn't actually have to work as hard as it typically would if I was putting whole nibs in there, and if I was adding just granulated sugar and the milk powder the way it is. So you can't actually add any liquid to these melangers. It will seize the chocolate and you will have a giant caked mess. I haven't actually done that because I'm too afraid to waste a batch of chocolate. and I don't really want to read up on how to correct it. So I just stick to not adding any liquids. Even apparently you can add like vanilla, but I don't. If the only chocolate that I actually use the vanilla in is my berry chocolate. That is my pink chocolate. And it's more for flavor than anything else. That berry chocolate doesn't taste like chocolate at all. It tastes like berries, but it's natural. I actually have some beans right now soaking. These are Mexican Levadas cocoa beans. You can watch how it's made. I do have video on how to process this. They're not fermented. Where they come from, gosh, that smells good. Where they come from, they can't ferment them, and of course you can't make chocolate with unfermented cocoa beans. So I soak them in citric acid for 24 hours, which brings out that pink which brings out the pink color. And then from there, I'm going to put them on a cookie sheet, put them in the oven, and dry them at a very, I go like at a low temp, so 170, it's as low as my oven goes. Dry them out completely. So I weigh them prior. There's 200 grams of beans there, and then there's 40 grams of water mixed with citric acid. So when I weigh them out after they've been dried, I want to get close to that 200 grams because you want that liquid to evaporate. Then I put them through the peanut butter maker, and then I go ahead and put them through into the melanger with the powder milk and the powdered sugar. Not powdered sugar, I do use granulated sugar, but I powder them, of course. Yeah, and I have done a batch where I've added citric acid to the melanger, and I've done one without. I find when I add it to it, the color is more like a raspberry color. It's quite pretty, but then I do go ahead and add vanilla, and I don't add the vanilla actually until it's come out of the melanger, but I did recently purchase some vanilla powder. I'm going to give that a try with this, actually that batch that I'm going to do. I'm going to add that to the melanger and see what happens there. The berry chocolate is, I mixed it, I have done a batch where I've mixed it with my milk chocolate. Milk chocolate I make from Madagascar beans. Makes a beautiful milk chocolate. So I have mixed them together and came out with this berry milk chocolate that tastes really that beautiful rich milk flavor with that hint of berry. And depending on what the ratio of mixture is, I've been playing with the ratios to come up with a perfect one. But that'll be my signature exclusive flavor for a Levantine bean to bar. I want to have a bar that's exclusively mine, that people can enjoy and know that it's made handcrafted, very small batches, and that I put love and appreciation into everything I do, and I want people to enjoy chocolate like they enjoy wine. Experience it. It's not just a chocolate bar from the corner store when and we all have been there, we all do it. Chocolate bars from the corner store are great, but I will eat a whole bar. If I have one of my chocolates, I will have one chocolate and I won't need any more. The flavor is really good. I enjoy it, but it satisfies enough of that chocolate craving. Okay, so we have that done. As you can see, kind of very just lightly coated and nothing bold. I do have some blue powder I'm dying to try, but I'll probably do that closer to, like, I don't know, I can do it for a baby shower gifts maybe, in the summer maybe with a variety of different colors, kind of like flowers. These would actually be very nice to do blue dustings on. Yeah, so actually it gives me an idea, maybe I can put some powders in these flowers. Check on the chocolate and see where we're at. We're still quite a ways away from it being ready. It is quite thin. I added quite a bit of pardon me, oh, it's thickening up, hold on. I did add quite a bit of cocoa butter to this recipe. It's looking quite nice. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that blue powder because I do want to try some in there. All right. Let's give that a try. I can use the same brush. And just go a little bit, just kind of close to that. Why not, eh? Never be afraid to try something different, try something new. Honestly, it most of the time pays off for me. Obviously, there's times when, as you can probably see if you watch some of my other videos, I do make mistakes, quite a few. Actually, they're adding up pretty good. But nothing where I've actually only thrown out one batch of chocolate. Other than that, I have had pretty good success. I did want to do some white chocolate that I had yesterday from making the bonbons. Unfortunately, like I would melt it, it would melt on here and then I'd scrape and scrape. By the time I got done, I had a whole bunch of the fillings from the bonbons inside mixed with the white chocolate, and it was just too much of a mess. So I actually did throw it out. I didn't bother trying to salvage any of it. Alright, so that just gives a little bit. I'm going to turn upside down and hope that these don't pop out. Oh, that looks pretty with these little tips. So yeah, just a little bit there. I'll do these ones too. Why not? So I want to keep an eye on that chocolate, but I do think like it came out of the melanger, so it does actually temper quicker. But it hasn't been out very long, so I'm not gonna worry too much. After I'm done the blue, I am gonna go ahead and use some of that pink as well, just cause it's neat, and I love experimenting color. The bonbons I did yesterday, there's only one batch where I didn't do some sort of design, and they were my pistachio coconut ones. By the way, it turned out really quite tasty. But I just left them plain with the white chocolate, and because that melanger had run quite a bit, they were really shiny and pretty. I have them all boxed up already. So this is kind of like my round 2 of bonbon making. And I'm hoping that moms will buy their whoever buys it for them, that they'll watch these videos and see how their chocolates are made. So if you're one of the moms that got one of these, this is what it looks like before it's pretty. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed making it. And if you have, please, or if you hadn't, please let me know. Contact me and let me know whether you liked them or not. I really would like to know how they turned out as far as the people that got them. I sampled every one that I've made, and I thought they were good, but that doesn't mean that everybody else is going to think that way too. My family, the ones that did get samples, or my neighbor, I use her as a guinea pig sometimes to test them out. Oh, these should be actually quite pretty, I think. I hope. I am going to get my hair dryer in a sec. I just want to warm up that chocolate just a tiny bit, so that when I do pour that chocolate in, it will stick to it. I don't want to have it unmolded and it come out as a mess. So I don't want it to separate. And it's just softening up just the top and the edges. So I'm a little worried about this one because I'm hoping that the chocolate will get underneath there. Alright, so we got that. I just think that looks so pretty if I could get it to do that. It'll be alright. Okay, I'm gonna try this one as well. Should give a nice flower for Mom. I've done up some various boxes and tins for Mother's Day for the bonbons. I do have boxes. Some have a dozen bonbons in them. Some have 6, and then my bubble bar, which is my milk chocolate or berry milk chocolate bar, this exclusive signature bar. And then I have tins. I have round tins with 4 bonbons, one of each variety. I have more than 4 varieties, but one of each of 4 varieties. And then I have 6, a tin with 6, and they're just have the raspberry ganache white chocolate ones. Because when I make the chocolate, the mold for the bonbons that I use has a lot more cavities than the other ones. So when I made those, I made more of those than anything else. And these here are actually not, obviously, you probably figured out, are not chocolate molds. They're for baking. But I did buy them because it was springtime. It's still spring. And I wanted something pretty for chocolate. So sometimes I'll go ahead and get these little unconventional chocolate molds. I think these will make a pretty bar. I'm going to just stir this up, give it another stir. And we didn't do anything with that last mold, and I'm not going to. The first step I'm going to do is fill these, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill these, shake, 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 get it all in the grooves, bang, 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 and then I'm going to drain out the chocolate. So I just want a shell. I'm going to scrape that top off. So we just have a nice empty shell with a clean top. And then I'm going to fill them with that raspberry ganache and use that up. Whatever's left, I'm not going to keep. I'm just going to toss. This is day 3, and they're still really good. Once they're sealed in the chocolate, they're good for almost forever. But I do have a market tomorrow, so I want to be able to have some of these boxed and ready, and I think I'm going to have these as a package. So 1 of these and maybe 4 of these. I haven't decided yet, but I thought I'd make another interesting Mother's Day present. So I am going to actually just grab a spoon and just see where we're at with the tempering of this chocolate. The worst thing is if you get this all poured out beautifully nice and it's not tempered, then you end up with the chocolates, the cocoa butter separating from the cocoa essentially. So that's where, if you see chocolate with white spots, that's all it is. It's completely fine to eat. It's just the cocoa butter has separated. So you want to make sure that it's thickened just enough that that cocoa butter and the cocoa are happy together, as I like to say, before you can start pouring. I just wish I had put the concher on in the melanger, because it is invaluable. Okay, this is starting to harden, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that blow dryer. see it is not quite, still pretty close. And it did, I don't know if you saw, but it did blow those sprinkles around, which actually helped. I think it's gonna look good. I'm excited about it. Got my scraper here. I just want to make sure I have all my tools that I'm gonna need. Scraper is ready. And then some of this out of the way. So we're gonna be pretty close to pouring here. So like I said, I'm gonna do these first. I'm not gonna pull them up or pull them down here. I like to leave them on the hard surface because they are so wiggly. If I try to move them, I'm gonna move that chocolate around. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pour. Because we're pretty solid there. So, oh, it's still tacky. Nope. A few more seconds. The problem is if I wait too long, then it becomes too thick. And then we're in trouble. But I think we're gonna be okay. So I'll go ahead and pour that. And like I said, I'm not gonna pour a whole bunch, but I do want to give it a nice coating, a nice layer of chocolate. And this will be a nice flavor, I think, too. It's a really good, it's almost a dark chocolate. There's only a very small bit of milk powder in it. 77% dark. With, of course, a little bit of milk. So I can't classify it as a dark chocolate, although it is. And then with that little bit of a berry flavor in the middle, I think we'll give it enough of a compliment that it'll be a very delicious bar. I hope. I'm still a little concerned that it's going to separate. And it looks like it is not tempered quite enough. Sometimes it's more of a guessing game than anything, I find. Most of the time things temper very easy for me, but not always. So I'm actually not going to have a ton of chocolate left after I do this. So I may just end up having little chocolates, and then that might be it. Okay, now for the fun part, I'm going to give this a quick stir just to make sure that we're getting good. So you can see, you got to watch at least the last few. I do want to shake those out. See, the problem, I'm not going to worry about it, but you can see in a couple of them, I think you can see that one. Just that, the middle part just sticking up out of the surface a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. And I kind of tried to fill them to the line where they go across completely because the flower design kind of, anyway. All right. So they weren't actually quite tempered enough. I'm not actually going to worry too much. It's only a very little bit. Actually, I'll stick them in the fridge for just a minute, or like not even a minute, just to get them to solidify a little bit faster. I think we might be okay. Just like not very long at all. And then hopefully this won't be ready and start to harden too fast. Just going to test this a little bit here. See, just because I can see that little bit of separation, if you look with the light shining, you can actually see like the separation on top, the color variation. Yeah, so, and I'm not sure why, like it hardens here and then it doesn't. It's not ready. When it looks like it's ready, if I wait until it starts to feel too thick, by the time I start pouring, it's too thick. And then I have to retemper and not that I need to save time, but I'm gonna pull those out. I don't want them staying too long. Yeah, so not enough to make them harden at all, but just to give it that little bit of help, so that they don't continue to kind of separate, right? So it kind of just hurries up the solidification process or the tempering process. Like I could stick this in the fridge right now. And see, like it's hardening, right? It's almost hard. So I guess if I wait until it's actually hard, I might have a better chance. I'm anxious, actually. I'm anxious to see how these are going to turn out. If it's tempered properly, those would, well, I mean, because they're thick, but they would be hardening faster than that. So, alright. Okay, still a little bit tacky, but like I say, I never want to wait too long. And as you can see, I did cover it with paper because I'm going to make a giant mess. So I try to remember to always cover my surface. Let's start. So I do want to fill them up. Then I'm going to get, like, they're going to go completely. Don't need towards the end, because all that's going to get scraped down to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake, then I'm going to tilt a bit to get down to these ones here. So those ones are all to the top. I'm going to fill these ones to the top. Here needs to be filled to the top. So it's just really playing a guessing game. I didn't get quite enough. Okay, just a bit more. So there. Alright. So I want to make sure that they're good, and it's important to get all the edges, all the corners. Especially with these, because the bottom, there's those little bit of grooves. I want to make sure that they're completely coated, and because this is going to be holding some yummy stuff inside, it's important that the edges are all covered. So I'm going to I'm going to turn it straight upside down, and then let that out. And you can't see, unfortunately. Turn a bit that way, but you'll be able to see when I flip it. You want to empty straight. You want to keep this straight when you're emptying it, just so that the molds are all evenly, all sides are evenly coated with chocolate. Now, some places will actually hold them. They have a tray where they actually hold them upside down like this and let them dry a bit. So as you can see, they've already hardened. So I'm going to go ahead. This is actually perfect. I'm going to go ahead and scrape that. And then we have a beautiful cavity. This turned out better than most, actually. So I do have some pretty thick edges, which is nice. I'm not going to complain about that, because they are nice deep molds. So there is going to be quite a bit of flavor into them. And once we, so I think that's good. All right, gonna shut her down, then we'll come back when these are completely set, and I'll have this in a piping bag and ready to put in the mold. Bear with me.